The year is 1583, on the heart of Central Africa. A girl is born who will define empires, reshape kingdoms, and bend history itself. Her name was Nzinga. To some, she was a ruthless schemer. To others, a savior queen. For nearly 40 years, she would outwit the Portuguese Empire, forge bold alliances, and carve a place in history as one of Africa's greatest rulers. This is the untold story of Queen Njinga of Ndongo and Matamba, the present-day Angola. Nzinga was born in Kabasa, the capital of the Kingdom of Ndongo in present-day Angola. She was the daughter of King Kilowaji Kial Samba and one of his slave wives, Queen Kagela. Because her mother was of enslaved origin, Nzinga's birth was controversial. She grew up in a royal court where bloodline meant everything, and where enemies whispered that she would never truly belong. From childhood, Nzinga displayed intelligence beyond measure. Her father adored her sharp wit and often allowed her to sit in on council meetings. By the age of 10, she could out-argue grown men and was skilled in archery, hunting, and horsemanship. But she also grew up in a kingdom under siege. The Portuguese had begun their conquest, capturing people for the transatlantic slave trade, demanding tributes, and pushing into Ndongo's lands. When King Kilowaji died in 1617, the throne passed to Nzinga's brother, Mbandi. But Mbandi feared his brilliant sister. Nzinga has given birth to a son who might one day challenge Mbandi's rule. In a brutal act of paranoia, he ordered the child killed and Nzinga forcefully sterilized, a wound that cut deeper than any blade. Still, Nzinga survived. She learned that survival would require both patience and cunning. By 1622, King Mbandi's rule was collapsing. Portuguese army ravaged Ndongo, and desperate, he turned to Nzinga for help. But she was the best fit for the role and had her education in Portuguese. Hence, she could communicate effectively with them. That year, she was sent as an envoy to Luanda to negotiate with Yoro Coronel de Souza, the Portuguese governor. In the governor's hall, Nzinga found no chair prepared for her. It was a calculated insult, meant to force her to kneel. But Nzinga refused humiliation, and in one of history's most iconic acts, she calmly ordered one of her female attendants to kneel on all fours, and Nzinga sat proudly upon her back, eye to eye with the governor. That day, she not only secured a fragile peace, but also showed the world that she would never accept inferiority. In 1624, King Mbandi died. Some say by suicide, others whisper by poison. Either way, Nzinga moved swiftly. Though rivals opposed her as a woman and the child of a slave wife, Nzinga outmaneuvered them all. To eliminate competition, she executed Mbandi's young son, the last direct, and declared herself Queen of Ndongo. To consolidate her power, she also reshaped her image. She dressed as a man, took male concubines whom she forced to dress as women, and styled herself as a warrior king, blurring the line between gender and power. From the moment she claimed the throne, Nzinga waged relentless war against the Portuguese. When forced from Ndongo, she retreated into the forests and marshes, using guerrilla tactics they could not match. She forged alliances with runaway slaves, turning them into fierce fighters. She even shifted capitals, conquering the kingdom of Matamba in 1631, making it her stronghold. At times, she used religion as a strategy. She was baptized Ana de Souza, posing as a Christian ally when it suited her needs. Yet, behind the facade, she remained a calculating strategist, bending fate itself into a weapon of survival. When the Dutch seized Luanda, In 1641, Nzinga seized a chance. She forged an alliance with them against the Portuguese, supplying soldiers in exchange for weapons. For a brief moment, it seemed she might finally crush the Portuguese rule in Angola. Her armies struck fear into the enemy, one of the most powerful women in the world, standing toe-to-toe with two European empires. But when the Dutch were expelled in 1648, Nzinga was left to face the Portuguese alone once more. Still, she refused to surrender. In her later years, Nzinga shifted tactics. She signed peace with the Portuguese in 1657, securing recognition as Queen of Matamba. From her courts, she turned Matamba into a thriving trading state, even allowing Portuguese missionaries in as part of her delicate diplomacy. But make no mistake, she never gave up the dream of an Africa free from foreign chains. Even in her 60s, Nzinga led troops into battle, her spirit unbroken. When she finally died in 1663, at nearly 80 years of age, she had ruled for 4 decades, outliving most of her enemies and leaving behind a legend unmatched in African history. Nzinga's legacy is complex. To some, she was ruthless, a woman who executed her king and forced her way to power. To others, she was a visionary, a queen who defended her people from slavery, defied gender norms, and outwitted empires. But what cannot be denied is this: Queen Njinga of Ndongo and Matamba was one of the greatest leaders in world history. And even today, her story echoes across centuries, a reminder that true power knows no boundaries.